Alarms echoed through the arena's underground tunnels. Red lights flashed. Metal doors slammed shut. The council had discovered the breakout. Ilara led the 5 freed humans through the dark corridors. They were scared, weak from months inside the cage, but alive. That was enough. "Keep moving," she whispered. "Stay close." Behind her, Reese followed with a stolen rifle. His steps were silent, his eyes watching every shadow. "This way," Ilara said, turning left. Suddenly, the wall beside them exploded. A black-armored hunter stepped out, glowing red eyes locked on Ilara. It moved fast, too fast. Reese fired. The shot hit the hunter's chest, but it didn't fall. It kept coming. Ilara charged. She rolled beneath the creature's blade and stabbed a pipe through its back. Sparks flew. The hunter screamed and collapsed. One of the freed humans stared at her wide-eyed. "You killed it!" Ilara pulled the pipe out, breathing hard. "Get used to it." In the control room above, the overseer watched the chaos. "They've escaped," one of his officers said. "Not for long," the overseer replied. He turned to the viewing window. "All hunters, move in. No survivors." A dozen more hunters activated, and the real battle began. Ilara and her group ran through the maintenance tunnels. Every few minutes, another door opened, another hunter attacked. But this time, they weren't alone. Reese led a group of freed test subjects, half human, half modified. They weren't the same people anymore. Some had glowing eyes, others had enhanced strength or strange abilities. But they remembered one thing. They were human. "We're with you," one of them said, stepping beside Ilara. Together, they moved like a wave, fighting back every attack. For the first time, the Council's machines were losing. Reese looked at Ilara as they caught their breath behind cover. "Do you really think we can win this?" Ilara looked at the scared people behind her, some shaking, some bloodied, but all standing. "We already are." The rebels reached the core tower. This was it. The heart of the arena, the command center. If they could reach it, they could shut down the tournament, the barriers, everything. But guards waited, heavily armed. Ilara stepped forward. "We fight here," she said. "If we fall free." Reese checked his weapon. "Let's give them a show." The rebels charged. The hall exploded with sound, blades clashing, guns firing, bodies slamming into walls. Ilara moved like lightning. Every punch was precise, every step planned. She fought with everything she had, not for glory, but for the people behind her, for Earth, for freedom. Reese backed her up at the left flank. A tall, 6-armed alien swung a plasma whip at him. He dodged, grabbed the arm, and twisted. The alien screamed. Reese didn't stop. They reached the door to the core. It was locked. Ilara grabbed a fallen guard's keycard and shoved it into the panel. The door opened. Inside, glowing walls buzzed with power. Screens showed every part of the arena. Ilara found the main console. "Give me a minute," she said. "Don't have a minute," Reese yelled. The last wave of hunters had arrived, dozens. The rebels formed a line. The hunters charged. Ilara's fingers flew over the controls. She didn't understand the alien language, but symbols were symbols. She followed the lines of power, followed the system paths. Come on, come on. A red warning flashed. Reese stood behind her, bleeding from a cut on his leg. Ilara, they're coming! She hit the final button. A low hum filled the room. Lights flickered. Then everything shut off. The barriers dropped. The arena lights dimmed. Across the galaxy, millions watching the broadcast saw the feed go black. The tournament had stopped. Outside the arena, the crowds panicked. Without the Council's control, many alien species turned against the guards. We were lied to. They were never the prize. They were the fighters. They beat the Voidborn. Let them go. A riot began. And in the chaos, something changed. The fear of humans turned to respect. Back in the core, Ilara looked at the quiet screens. We did it, Reese said. No, she said. Now we make sure it stays down. She turned to the prisoners. We hold this room until Earth sends a signal, until someone knows we're alive. A voice spoke behind them. You won't have to wait. Ilara turned. It was the green-skinned guard, the one who had helped them. Behind him stood 3 alien leaders from different species. You've awakened the galaxy. The Council's lies are exposed. One of the leaders nodded. You have shown us the truth. We won't serve the Overseer anymore. Reese looked shocked. You're helping us? The guard smiled. Now we fight together. The Council's tower shook. The Overseer stood alone in his chamber, staring down at the arena. He knew. It was over. The people had seen the truth, and the humans had won. But he wasn't finished. He pressed one final button. A timer appeared on his screen. Arena self-destruct. 10 minutes. Back in the core, alarms blared again. Ilara looked at the screen. Self-destruct. Reese cursed. We can't stay here. One of the alien leaders stepped forward. Our ship is hidden outside the arena. We can take you all, but we need to leave now. Ilara turned to the others. Get everyone out. Reese grabbed her arm. You're coming too. But Ilara shook her head. There's one thing left to do. She ran back towards the central control column. Go! Reese hesitated, but he knew her. He nodded, then ran with the others. Ilara reached the core and inserted the same keycard. She triggered a full data dump. Every secret, every experiment, every hidden message. She sent it out through the satellite link, broadcasting across the stars. The truth would live. Then she ran. Outside, the rebels and their new allies reached the hangar. The alien ship was waiting. Reese turned as the last humans boarded. Where's Ilara? She appeared seconds later, sliding under a closing gate. He pulled her aboard. The ship lifted off. Behind them, the arena exploded. A fireball lit up the sky. Ilara sat on the floor, covered in ash, heart pounding. Reese sat beside her. We made it, he said. She didn't reply. She just watched the fire fade behind them. Then, finally, she smiled. The arena was gone. A black scar floated where the tournament once stood. Burned metal, floating debris, silence. But the echoes of what had happened there were loud. Across every planet, every star system, every corner of the galaxy, news spread like wildfire. Humans were never the prize. They were fighters, stronger, smarter, unstoppable. The Council lied. On the trade planet Cyros, a merchant switched off his holoscreen. His customers stood frozen. "They beat the Overseer's army," someone whispered, "without even entering the tournament." In the outer rim world of Maris, bounty hunters watched the footage on loop. Humans battling hunters, breaking through security, bringing down the arena. "They turned the Council's game upside down," one muttered. A third hunter narrowed his eyes. "They didn't win because of weapons. They won because they refused to give up." All across the galaxy, the same question rose. Who are the humans? And the second question followed. What happens now that they're free? Aboard the stolen alien ship, Ilara stood in front of a new crew. Humans, rebels, defectors, some wounded, some still scared, but all alive. "Status?" she asked. Reese sat at the controls. "We're 3 days from Earth. Engines holding. We've got enough fuel to make it back, if we don't run into trouble." Ilara nodded. Her eyes drifted to the stars outside. For a moment, no one spoke. They were safe. But safety never lasted long. "Transmission incoming," Reese said suddenly. "Put it through," Ilara said. A voice filled the cabin. It was human, shaky, emotional. "This is Earth Defense Command. Ilara? Reese, are you there? We've seen the footage. We saw everything." Reese laughed, relieved. "We're here. We're coming home." There was a pause. Then the voice returned. "You need to hurry. The Council may be broken, but they're not finished." He was right. In the ruins of the Council's great citadel, the surviving overseers met in secret. Their robes were torn, their guards missing, but their hatred burned bright. "They humiliated us," one said. "They turned the galaxy against us," another growled. The main overseer slammed his hand on the table. "We created the tournament to control them, to remind them who ruled. Now they cheer for humans?" The room filled with silence. "They think humans are heroes," he spat. "But soon they'll remember why we feared them." Another overseer leaned forward. "We still have the inheritors. They obey only us. Release them." The others looked uncertain. "They were never meant to be used," one warned. The main overseer smiled coldly. "They were meant to destroy. Now let them do what they were born to." Back aboard the ship, Ilara stood at the viewing port. She didn't know what Earth would look like now. Would they be welcomed? Celebrated? Feared? Would they even be allowed back? Reese came to stand beside her. "We're heroes back home." Ilara didn't smile. "No, we're proof. Proof that humans can win against the galaxy." He studied her face. "You think that scares them? I know it does." When the ship entered Earth's orbit, the planet looked the same. Blue oceans, green land, swirling clouds. But the orbit was different. Dozens of defense satellites hovered nearby. A fleet of Earth's ships, fully armed, surrounded the planet. "Looks like they've been busy," Reese said. A message came through. "Identify yourselves." Ilara stepped forward. "Captain Ilara Vos, returning from Council Arena. Survivors on board, requesting clearance." The voice paused. Then, "Welcome home. Landing zone open." They descended through the clouds. Crowds waited at the base. When Ilara stepped out, they erupted in cheers. Reporters shouted, cameras flashed, children waved flags. But not everyone was smiling. At the back of the crowd stood Earth's defense commander, General Soren, tall, cold, watching. Ilara walked straight up to him. "We brought them back, every one." He nodded once. "You disobeyed orders." She didn't flinch. "We saved lives." He studied her, then slowly extended his hand. "You gave us a future." That night, Ilara stood before the Earth Council. Screens showed her face across every city. "You know what we did. You saw the truth. They wanted to make us slaves. They called us dangerous. They were right. We are dangerous to those who want to control us, to those who fear freedom, to those who lie." She looked straight into the camera. "We're not the prize. We're the proof." But as the galaxy watched Earth rise, another message spread in secret. The inheritors had awakened. Silent, hidden, created centuries ago as the Council's final weapon. Not machines, not soldiers, something older, something built to erase species that stepped out of line. And now, they were hunting humans. On a distant moon, two miners picked up a strange signal. "Is that a distress call?" one asked. "No," the other said. "It's a warning." Before they could respond, their station went dark. Outside, something massive moved through the mist, and a voice whispered through static. "Earth must fall." Back on Earth, Ilara was taken to a private meeting. Only 3 people were there: General Soren, the president of Earth, and a man she didn't recognize. "This is Director Kale, Galactic Intelligence." The man didn't smile. "You've started something, something big." "I didn't start it. They did." Kale leaned forward. "They're coming now. The Council's pets, the inheritors." Ilara narrowed her eyes. "What are they?" Kale didn't blink. "They're what the Council made to kill beings like you." Reese stepped into the room, holding a datapad. "You need to see this." He threw the image on the screen. A satellite feed showed wreckage floating in space, ships torn apart, and in the center, a shadow. Black, silent, moving through the stars like a ghost. "They destroyed an entire fleet," Reese said. Ilara stared. Then she looked at Kale. "How do we stop them?" Kale shook his head. "You don't." Outside, crowds celebrated. Children dressed as Ilara and Reese, pretending to fight hunters. Flags waved, fireworks burst in the sky. But high above, beyond the moon, the real battle waited, and it would be nothing like the arena. That night, Ilara stood alone on a rooftop. The city lights below looked peaceful, but she knew it wouldn't last. Reese joined her. "You should sleep," he said. "Can't," she replied. "They'll be here soon." He didn't deny it. After a moment, he asked, "You regret going to the arena?" Ilara shook her head. "I regret not going sooner." She looked up at the stars. "They think they're coming to end us," she whispered. Reese raised an eyebrow. "They're wrong?" She smiled faintly. "They're coming to learn what it really means to fight a human."